Hey, I want to talk about the new earth. This is not something that I've really talked about publicly, and I feel very called to start sharing more about myself and my experience and my role in what is transpiring. So, some of you that have known me a little longer know that I've been having interdimensional experiences for quite a few years now. And I stopped sharing because they just became a part of my everyday life, and I've been sharing other aspects of what I've been going through. But I feel very called now to share what led up to this huge growth spurt that a lot of you have been witnessing. I started having visions and interdimensional experiences about 7 years ago. And at first I thought maybe there was something wrong with me. I was having seizures, or I had and I got tested and did all this stuff. Nothing was wrong with me. And since then they've been transforming into a lot of different things. But it's gotten to a point where I download things, audio. I'm trying to speak in layman's terms right now for people that don't necessarily identify as spiritual. So we call it clairaudience. But for anyone that doesn't know that, it's just when you hear something, you receive a download. Some people download an entire book this way. You hear artists and musicians and stuff often talk about, like, this just came through me. That's what they're talking about. It's just channeling something. But I started discovering all these different gifts that I have in the spiritual realm. And I want to express that there was a very long period of time when I wasn't tapped into my spirituality. And I was even rejecting it. Having partially grown up in a very, very spiritual town, I was kind of over, like, the lingo and just the energy, and a lot of it's sort of like religion. It's not always authentic, right? When it is, I have a lot of respect for it, but when it's not, it's just kind of like you're giving everyone. Anyway, I just was resisting it. So I just want to say, for all those people out there who are skeptical, I totally get it. And I want to speak in layman's terms because I feel like a huge part of my job, and the reason why I've collected so many people from different walks of life my whole life, is because I'm here to kind of bridge the gap between the non-spiritual and this new earth that we're trying to create. And let me just be clear in saying that the new earth isn't a new earth, literal new place that we're going. It's really, I think that's why it's so complex of a concept for a lot of people to wrap their brain around, because they're picturing something new and it doesn't make sense. What it is actually us elevating into a higher plane within it's basically being raised up to see from a higher perspective. And as a person who's been living in this new reality, seeing from a higher perspective for some time now, I can tell you, I don't relate now to people who live in the three-dimensional. It's like ego-based thinking. And ego doesn't just mean like I'm right, you're wrong, and having a big ego. Ego means like fear-based thinking, right? Limited mindset. A lot of the ego mindset that I'm talking about is the kind of thing you would think watching a video like this. Like, it challenges you. It just makes you want to reject. And that's the ego mind. It wants to hold on to what it knows. And as a person who's experienced a lot of trauma, I can tell you, even if it's something negative that your ego still wants to hold on to it because it knows it. It's like a computer. It wants to have a program, and it just wants to run it on repeat. So a lot of people are being called to heal their trauma right now and dive into all this darkness. And I know some of you are starting to hear me now, because if you're one of those people who's had their life kind of flipped upside down, maybe your marriage just ended, maybe, whatever. Maybe you just quit drinking alcohol, you've been a drinker your whole life, like things are shifting. And it's because you're being prepared for this new earth. It's really just a matter of shifting the way that you think and see the world that's going to shift you into this new earth. And this is happening. It's already happened to me. I've been in this new way of seeing and thinking and feeling for quite some time, and it's challenging because I don't relate to the average human anymore, or even the non-average humans. And I've had to let go of pretty much everyone and everything in my life in order to make this transition. And it's because I'm part of the bridge builder between the other world. And I know this sounds crazy, but it's kind of like, when we all discovered that the earth was round. I know some of people, I don't know, people went back to thinking that's fake. I'm not going to talk about that. But it's like trying to convince people of a new reality like that. It kind of challenges you. And you're like, wait, what? You've been picturing it flat this whole time. So how can you relearn to wrap your brain around something new? Think about it like that. We've had these discoveries forever. And there's always somebody who thinks they know everything, right? just expand your mind enough to realize that we only use a very, very small percentage of our brain, right? That's scientifically proven. I think it's some ridiculously low percentage too. So isn't it possible that if those other parts of our brain started opening, that we would have access to information that other people don't have? Just open your mind to that if you're skeptical. And for everyone else, if you're being uprooted right now, if things are looking really crazy, it's just because it's clearing space for you to move into something better. It's this old paradigm, it's dying out. Let it die. I'm not saying it's easy. Trust me, I've been going through it for years now. I know. I've been sharing my journey too, because I want people to know that it's okay to process through darkness. It's okay, to let go of things that aren't serving you and to reinvent yourself and be born again from the ashes. But back to the new earth. There are a lot of people who are being called to rally and join. But there are also a lot of people, and I happen to know a few of them personally, who have children who are part of guiding people to this new earth. So even if none of this is really making sense to you, you're still watching and you're like, I don't even know why. You have children, you might have a child or two who's part of this movement. And the neurodivergent, kids on the spectrum, kids who just seem really different, who just don't quite fit in, who just challenge what we view as normal, these are all signs that you might have a gifted child that is part of this new earth transition. And when I say that, I just mean somebody who's here to represent something different, who's here to shed a light on a different way of living, who's going to challenge people to kind of wake up in certain ways. And some of these kids I'm thinking about are very powerful in that way because they're so unique, and it doesn't matter what they're looking at. They're always tuned into that inner self, and that's powerful. So if you're one of those parents, don't freak out. It's not the end of the world. This is a good thing. But if you're wondering why your kid is different, that might be part of it. And for everyone else, I just want to say, this is a good thing. Try to remember that there have been many, many paradigm shifts that people doubted and resisted and thought. Think about the uprising, the revolution, 60s, 70s energy. That came out of nowhere. And nobody could have predicted it. And if somebody came along and started talking about what was going to happen, everyone would have thought they were crazy. And yet, look back. And if you're not really familiar with it, look back. It was huge. Everything came under the microscope, and so many things were overturned and overthrown and kind of paving the way for this new transition here, which is really just to a place of being less ego-based, being more heart-based, being more grounded in our bodies, feeling safer. I mean, we're all purging a lot of our parents' trauma and their trauma and their trauma. It's all been dumped, and it's like, this is the moment. Some of us are clearing that for the collective. Some of us are clearing that through having children and not passing down that same trauma to their kids. We're all a part of this. And if you look, so having this higher vision, it's like I can see how much we've evolved. It's when we're attached to, our emotions about something, we end up seeing it as if it's right in front of our face, because we're too close to it, because we're attached. It's kind of like dealing with heartbreak. You can't see, or you're in love. You can't see anything clearly because you're too attached to the emotions. So just keep in mind that you're only using a very small percentage of your brain. There's probably a lot, and there is, that you don't know about this universe. And if you start having symptoms, really bad headaches, or like this glitching feeling, or you're seeing visions or into other dimensions, or you're getting downloads, audio, clairaudient downloads, or anything like that, just know that you're not the only one. It's happening to a lot of us, and there's nothing wrong with you. I mean, get tested just in case if you're really scared, but just know that you're tapping into this new earth dimension, and you might be one of the people that's awakening right now to kind of help lead others. And that's what my job is here. So I just wanted to share. I just know it's time for me to step out and really own who I am and what I'm doing here. I am a new earth warrior. Feels crazy to say that, but it's true. And yeah, you might think I'm crazy right now, but just give it a couple months, a couple years. It's all going to make sense. Just breathe. Just know it's all going to come together. And in the meantime, things are going to get a lot crazier. So just hold on and try to have grace with yourself and everyone around you. And just find whatever comforts you right now. Sending love.